Hey, thank you. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency. First order of business is oath of office and acknowledgement of fiduciary. Chris, like to give the oath before you do. You only see you commented on practice here. And I want to address some comments that were raised by a member of the public last, if you don't mind.
Sure. The comment that was made was that the oath of office has to be done within 30 days of the start of the year. And the public officers law does require an oath of office be taken by an officer within 30 days of the commencement of the term. This is a renewal oath, which is a good practice. And so the 30-day requirement under the public officers law does not apply. You're able to do the oath of office today. So if you will repeat after me, I, Elaine Miller, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of the member of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency
of the member of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being our secretary. As we begin today's meeting, I want to remind everybody of our duty to act in the best interest of the organization. In keeping with our conflict of interest policy, I've asked each board member to disclose any actual potential or perceived conflicts related to matters on today's agenda. If you believe you may have a conflict, please state it now and write it down on the form that is being passed around so it can be noted in the minutes. If a conflict arises during our discussions, please bring it to our attention. If a conflict is identified or perceived, the board member must exit the meeting while the item is being discussed. Transparency protects both the integrity of our decision-making and the trust placed in this board. Are you good?
Well, I'm confident I do not have a real conflict. I think there's a perceived conflict for item 10 because I work for a bank and there's a bank that's presenting one of the loans we're looking approved. I'll exit the room for that item and we'll.
Anybody else?
Joe? Yeah, I'll probably think that number 10 as well.
That's similar. You don't have an actual conflict.
No, in fairness and propriety.
Thank you, everybody. Before we move on to the minutes, I just want to note that Peter Newman is receiving distinguished Citizen of Broome County Award. Well, that is an honor. I'd also note that Bill Moravko has also previously received the award, so we are an awfully fast company here. Next item on the agenda are approval of our minutes. Board received the minutes. Any additions, corrections to the minutes? There being none, I'd like a motion to receive the minutes for our February 18th meeting. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Any abstentions or objections? Move on. We come to that part of the meeting where we have made opportunity for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter concerning the IDA, please feel free to do so at your time. You need to state your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. There being none, let's move on. Daisy, you have an executive director's report by any chance?
Few items I wanted to update the board on this month. Yesterday I had the pleasure to host representatives from Empire State Development's Go Semi team. That is part of Empire State Development, but it is a division that is focused solely on the build out of the semiconductor ecosystem in New York State. Also attending was the director of site development for Empire State Development Strategic Business Division. So I had them in town for a few hours yesterday, and we discussed very high level. I gave them an update on the status of the Broome Tech Park. It is a project they're watching closely and very interested in supporting. And as well, we spent some time over at the Huron campus with representatives from Huron and Binghamton University, Benson Chan, who is a former IBM engineer who is now faculty and runs a lot of their electronics packaging programs. So we had a great visit. We're able to really showcase the Huron site as well as talk about the vision for the Broome Technology Park. And again, it was very well received, and they're been following us as we progress. Quick update and congratulations to the YWCA. This is a project the agency supported, I believe, in 2023. We approved pilot benefits roughly around that time for their intergenerational campus, which is multi-family as well as childcare. It took them some time, but they have successfully been awarded low-income housing tax credits through New York State Homes and Community Renewal. So that is a project we hope to close this year on. So congrats to them for sticking with it. We delivered the preliminary site plan information for the 600 Main Street redevelopment project. That is a project that we were also awarded New York State Fast New York funds. Our timeline to keep this ideally with the competitive pricing we received is we'd like to get this through the planning board in the next 2 months with a goal, a start date of June 15th, tentatively. The plan would be to build out a roughly 14-acre plus or minus acre of a shovel-ready development pad for that. Again, my thanks to Dan Gates for reviewing with the team those proposals. So I think we got very competitive pricing on that. Just a few items, some receivables coming into the organization. We have a number of grant reimbursements that will be coming to us in the next couple of months. $33,000 coming from Empire State Development for the Southern Tier Clean Tech Corridor Study. That was something we did with Newmark a few years back. $150,000 in grant funds from NYSEG. That's an economic development outreach program grant that we received. And happy to report we can finally submit for our first fast track B, which is $500,000. We've received 2 of those. We can start to reimburse for our first $500,000 upon the acceptance and publication of the draft GEIS. So we'd like to get that process started as quickly as possible, but we are also due another $500,000. But as was noted in the audit, there are certain benchmarks and progress points we have to meet before we can submit for that reimbursement. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Questions for Stacy?
I have one more thing. I'm sorry. I did want to do a quick welcome and introduction to Maximus DeLuca. Maximus is an intern with us. He is a native of the area, senior at SUNY Cortland, and he's spending some time with us working with Amy on the Huron Master Facility. So we're glad to have you with us.
Anyone have any questions regarding the February 28th interim financial report or loan activity report? There being none, let's keep moving. New business. First item is a review of our investment policy. I see Mr. Fiddler is on the
Yes, he's on
call. Get away. Where's yours? Thank you.
All
Scott.
right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. Do you all have the report? I can actually share my screen too if it looks like it's allowing. Nope, never mind. Okay, anyway, so page 1 is just the basic account profile. As most of you know, the investment management account can only invest in U.S. Treasuries, no mutual funds or stocks or anything like that, even cash. So it's important that we stay on top of these maturities. Current market value is $6,468,732.27. Hey, and if you remember last year, or I guess towards the end of 2024, we did a pretty comprehensive restructuring of this portfolio to reduce the number of holdings and increase the coupon yield, not necessarily the yield to maturity, but increase the actual income received from these. So these reports from several years ago used to have a lot more securities in them, but now it's just a couple maturities per year, and that was done in an effort to add income for budget purposes. Okay, page 2 shows the breakdown of the maturity ladder. So 2026 has the largest amount of treasuries maturing with about 2.8 million. 2027 has almost 2 million, and then 2028 we just have 755,000 maturing. And this year, or in 2025, there were several maturities that we actually sent the proceeds back to the IDA to use for their purposes, operational purposes, investments, whatever. Typically, when securities mature, we would add to this maturity ladder. So that's when we would reinvest for, in this case, likely at 2028, 2029 maturities to keep that ladder well diversified. Okay, and then page 4 doesn't really tell us a whole lot other than the bottom left-hand corner. You can see the average yield is 4.44, and the average yield to maturity is 3.64. Okay, page 5 tells us very little. But for the typical fixed income report, there's other types of bonds in there, so that's usually all right. And then the fixed income fundamentals report shows all the individual securities that are owned in the portfolio. This is as of February 28th, the most recent month end. So since this report was run, we had one security mature on March 15th. So there is $908,000 of cash in the account that I believe we're going to be moving to the IDA's transition account, but I think that's probably as part of your agenda today, or we can reinvest. So I will wait for word from Stacy, Marissa, and Natalie on that. Okay, so the objective was really to provide cash flow on a quarterly basis, and that's why you see pretty much every calendar quarter there's something, there's a security maturing. So in this case, if we reinvest any of the 908,000 or anything else that matures in 2026, it would likely go in probably the fourth quarter of 2027 or early 2028, I would think. Any questions on this report or any of the previous reports?
Question?
Questions? Good.
All right.
Scott, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have anything else if there's no other questions.
You're free to go.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm sorry?
You're free to
You're
go.
all set with me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Have a great day.
You get cash flow on Stacy on the park and on the 600 Main Street.
We are doing a review right now, and that's why we did ask Scott to potentially put that maturity in the transition account so we can review and come back to audit and finance with any requests.
We're coming in the next 60 days.
Exactly, yes. So, and then, you know, timing out.
Right, yeah, there's a positive on the project, for grants, but the cash flow might not be positive.
Right, because of the way the grants are structured, their reimbursement comes after we.
After we've got to spend it to get it back.
Yes, correct.
Fine. Any other questions for Stacy on that? Next item on our agenda is a resolution approving the 2025 audit.
Comes forward from committee as a motion.
Have a second. Yeah, all in favor?
All right.
Any objections or abstentions? Next item on our agenda. Resolution approving various policies of the agency required by New York State Public Authorities Law.
It also comes forward from committee as a motion.
Thank you. Second. Second. All in favor?
All right.
Any objections or abstentions? Resolution approving a $200,000 loan to American Development LLC from the Business Development Revolving Loan Fund to support the acquisition and development of 121 Court Street in Binghamton. Stacy, or I'm sorry, Natalie, excuse me. Or Stacy. You have to flip if you want.
Whatever you want to
So for the record, that Peter due to the room, he doesn't have a actual map. Number 12.
Oh, 12. I
Yeah,
didn't-
yeah,
I'm trying to kick you out too.
I did say I know across the head.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Cool. Okay, certainly.
All right, so this is a $200,000 loan request from David Whalen of Americo Development LLC to assist with the acquisition and complete renovation of a mixed-use building at 121 Court Street in Binghamton. The building currently vacant and in deteriorating condition will be transformed into 4 residential apartments on the upper floors and a ground floor commercial space. David Whalen is an experienced entrepreneur and real estate developer, track record of completing and actively managing similar projects at 265 Main Street, 252 Main Street, 214 Main Street, and 128 Washington Street. He's also the owner of Binghamton. Since the board write-up was distributed, the structure of the New York Main Street grant bridge loan has been revised. Rather than the $500,000 short-term bridge note previously described, Iowa State Bank is proposing a smaller revolving line of credit to advance funds as needed in alignment with the grant reimbursement schedule. Progression payments will be requested so draws correspond with reimbursement milestones, reducing both interest expense and overall lender exposure. The anticipated line of credit is approximately $200,000, which provides flexibility between draws while still supporting the project's funding. In addition, the borrower will be submitting an application to the IDA for the Small Business Incentive Program. If approved, this program will provide the 8% sales tax exemption on eligible construction material, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. These savings will effectively reduce the overall renovation costs, but they are not reflected in the current. Mr. Whalen currently does have 3 existing loans with the IDA from the Business Development Fund and the Business Retention and Expansion Loan Fund, with a remaining balance of approximately $347,585. All loans are in good standing and have consistently been paid on time, reflecting a strong history of responsible borrowing and repayment. You all have been provided with the sources and uses of project funding. While the project includes ground floor commercial component, the residential units provide the primary income base and the overall leverage remains conservative. The combined loan to value is approximately 48% during construction and improves to approximately 35% permanent of the grant reimbursement. Iowa State Bank is participating in the project and has underwritten the transaction with a conservative structure, which provides additional comfort from a credit standpoint. The borrower has also successfully demonstrated the ability to lease similar multi-use properties. So the advisory loan committee and I recommend approval of this loan for the following reasons. The global DSCR reflects adequate coverage prior to construction and improves upon stabilization. The borrower maintains a strong credit profile with a credit score of approximately 780 and solid personal cash flow. The 3 existing IDA loans are current and in good standing. The borrower has a proven track record of completing similar successful redevelopment projects. All required equity is verified and corporate and personal guarantees are strong. The approved grant will reduce the borrowing and improve the project's overall finance. And a small business incentive program application will be submitted and would reduce the overall. The loan will be secured by a mortgage position behind Tioga State Bank on 21 Fort Street, the corporate guarantee of Binghamton Hotspur, the unlimited personal guarantee of David Whalen, an assignment of life insurance in the loan amount, the assignment of leases and rents subordinate to Tioga State Bank. The independent appraisal will be conducted by Tioga State Bank prior to closing. The appraisal will validate the as-is and post-renovation market value and confirm adequate coverage. The loan will have a 20-year amortization schedule with a 15-year term and a fixed interest rate of 3%. The structure results in monthly payments of $1,109.20, with a balloon payment of $61,729.33 due at the end of the 15th year. These terms have been confirmed and agreed to by the borrower. The project is expected to support local construction jobs during the build-out phase and contribute to the revitalization of downtown Binghamton by attracting new residents and commercial tenants. The first floor commercial space is anticipated to support small business operations and create additional employment opportunities. The applicant has stated that the project will not have a negative environmental impact. All renovation activities will comply with local building codes and environmental regulations. This project presents relatively low risk to the borrower's experience, a conservative leverage with an LTV of approximately 40% and strong. In addition, the project supports downtown revitalization by adding new units and space.
Anything else? Yeah, Catherine, thank you, Allie. Any questions?
Making sure it's-
Any questions for Natalie on that? We have a motion. Thank you. Elaine, second. All in favor? Opposed? Well, no, abstention, and some people grab Peter.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Next item on our agenda is actually the prior item on the agenda. My desire to move along and get to the big event which all our guests are here for. I neglected to get number item 9. Resolution including the discretionary fund policy.
So come forward.
Thank you. Second. Yeah, Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Now we're back on track. Item 11, resolution authorizing an increase of sales and use tax exemption benefits granted to 252 Main Street the LLC from $12,000 to $20,000. Basically.
So this is the request also from David Whalen on a project that we have previously approved a sales and use tax exemption benefit on. And I apologize, I don't have the exact project description in front of me, but the property is located at 252 Main Street in the village of Johnson City. The project is a mixed-use development, so there's the renovation of commercial space on the first floor and apartments on the second floor. Mr. Whalen has come back and requested some additional funds for that project. And you have the application in your packet. The total project costs associated with this project are $655,590, of which the benefit received would be $12,000. And then, Natalie, I'm sorry, this sheet is not reading correctly.
So the original was 12.
Original was 12. I'm sorry, yes. So he's requesting an $8,000 increase. Sorry, this sheet looks a little different today. So he's requesting an increase of $8,000 for the project.
Can I just ask what the status of that project is currently? Is this the building? I'm always trying to figure out which one it is.
No, it's not.
Not
No.
yet?
Probably
That's right up on
Right
Google.
next door to Soul City.
Oh,
right hand side of it.
right. This is what comes up on Google Maps. What number is that? Maybe it's the number.
Soul City is 250 Main Street and it's right next door to that property.
Yeah, this isn't right.
Across the street.
Over on that side.
Yeah. Quite the increase.
You just underestimated.
I think it's funny.
Down here.
Any other questions?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't want to stop before we're ready. Have a motion? Thanks, Kevin. Go a second. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Here. Item 12 on our agenda. Just note, for the record, that Joe Marabito, I consulted with counsel. He doesn't have an actual conflict, but is exiting due to avoid any appearance of impropriety into a suite is. That is correct. Item 12 on our agenda is a resolution on accepting an application for Taylor Garbage LLC, authorizing a sales and use exemption benefit in an amount currently estimated not to exceed $98,761.04 to acquire and install construction material, machinery, furniture, fixtures, and equipment at 3039 Vestal Road in the town of Vestal and making the necessary findings.
So Taylor Garbage LLC is proposing a $2.07 million expansion project at its existing facility located on Vestal Road in the town of Vestal. Project includes the construction of a 36 by 60 office addition and a new 30 by 80 truck wash building to improve operational efficiency and fleet maintenance. The applicant is requesting assistance through the IDA Small Business Incentive Program in the form of a sales tax exemption estimated at approximately $96,761 on about $1.23 million in eligible purchases. Taylor Garbage currently employs 62 full-time employees and anticipates creating 7 new jobs with this project, with estimated salaries ranging from $65,000 to $85,000 annually, while current employee salaries range from $60,000 to $115,000. The project will also comply with the agency's local labor policy and utilize local contractors where available. Any questions?
Taylor bought out like this, so.
Just
Yes,
assessment
that is, yeah. In the documents in the packet.
Got a motion? Thank you, Dan. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Vote that Joe abstained, somebody professional. Okay, number 13 on our agenda, presumably that's how long we're next. Welcome back, Joe. Item 13, resolution accepting draft generic environmental impact statements as complete and adequate for public review and public hearing pursuant to speaker. I just want to know how we work this. I want to say a couple of words. I don't know if Casey was that or follow questions. So, Broome County IDA is pleased to offer a presentation today on the draft generic environmental impact statement for the proposed Broome County Technology Park. Technology Park concept is part of a broader strategy focused on preparing sites that will deliver significant new job opportunities and local tax revenue. It's important to emphasize that this process does not authorize construction of buildings, park infrastructure to begin, nor does it represent final approval of any specific development. It establishes a transparent, conceptual framework, preparing the site and evaluating future proposals on what types of development may be appropriate and under what parameters. We understand that there have been many questions about how this concept is shaped up and how the community concerns will be addressed. Pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, the IDA can now directly address those questions through a thorough, transparent public relations, through a transparent public process, involving a comprehensive analysis. Ultimately, our goal remains clear: to create new opportunities for residents and strengthen our community's economic future, and do so in a way that respects the land and communities that surround it. Our executive director, Stacy Duncan, will now offer a presentation for the public record. We will not take questions from anyone other than board members, but there will be opportunities for the public to be heard in the weeks ahead. Stacy, the floor is yours.
A long time coming. So I think I'll ask you guys, if you don't mind, I'll stand over here. So Peter, Joe, Dan, I want to just flip so you can see. Some of this will be familiar, but so it is truly a pleasure to present this presentation on the before the board considers acceptance of the draft generic environmental impact study. Before we begin, I want to first acknowledge and thank the board of directors for all of your support over the last several years. This has been a very bold endeavor for the IDA, and I think for Broome County, one that hasn't happened since the mid 80s. It has taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of investment. And we could not do this without your support. So on behalf of the team and I, we greatly appreciate that. So I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to have some of the members of our team also present a few portions of this. So a little bit of what we're going to talk about today is, if you go to the next slide, it will go. It's just got a little delay. Okay. So we're going to walk through the study process, the purpose and why we're pursuing Broome Technology Park. We'll talk about the study area and the concept plan. We'll also discuss some, but not all of the findings for the generic environmental impact statement and summary and next steps. And I do want to note in the folders, I have included the outline of the communications plan for the release of the GEIS. There are several statutory things we have to do. It's broken down by what is required and then what we're doing above and beyond to ensure that all members of the community have access to the study once it is ultimately released. Okay. To begin, this has been a milestone moment in the process. The release today really is also when a lot of the work begins. The public phase of this certainly begins upon the release of this today, but it is also the culmination of many years of work to identify and assess viable locations for a large-scale economic development site. And I'm very thrilled through this process to get to work with a very multidisciplinary team. You have many members of them here today, from project management to architects and engineering to water and wastewater and engineering, to traffic engineering, to our legal team. Of course, we can't do that without you all, from public affairs and from communication. So we've really tried to put together, and then our energy team as well. So really tried to put together a multidisciplinary team of subject matter experts that have done a lot of great work a lot of front end great work to get this prepared. Remember, of course, the purpose is not to put a shovel in the ground, but to understand the potential impact. The GEIS, as Lisa Nagel will talk about later, is generic with intention. It is to understand a concept and a vision, and then to test that against multiple resources, as I mentioned, to come up with a conceptual master plan ultimately. The result of our analysis will be that plan that we will make public for the first time, and all future development will abide by all local permitting requirements. While that's transitioning, just a refresher, I think we all know why we're pursuing this, but just a refresher as we do this publication and to those that might see this recording later. This has been a very purposeful effort to create the Broome Technology Park. I think, and I won't stress these things, but I think we know what many of the economic challenges for our communities are. We have a declining population. We want to stem that out migration. We have a higher poverty rate than other upstate counties. And we have to address that with bold, I think, visionary action. What we also know is that we want to support the expansion of manufacturing in New York State. New York State is going through what I would consider a very vibrant renaissance when it comes to manufacturing. And what you'll notice is much of that is happening around us, and that we would like that to come to us. So we want to be part of that renaissance, and to do that, we need to have a very competitive economic development site. We also want to create opportunities for that new private investment, but also job creation to retain our young people. We want to tell the narrative and tell the story that opportunity doesn't have to mean moving away. There is opportunity here now and for many decades in the future. We also see this site as a viable option for the outgrowth and the expansion of local manufacturers. We've seen a number of really great things happening with companies like BAE Systems, Toyota, Raymond, and others that are growing here in the area. But if we cannot provide that location for their outgrowth, we know what will happen. They will start to look at where they can grow. So we see this as much as the opportunity to bring new investment in, but also to support our existing manufacturing base that has been here for many, many years. And as our strategic plan has outlined from our industry attraction objectives, we really are trying to be focused, strategic, and purposeful with who and what we think we can attract to the Broome Technology Park. We are aligning a lot of our industry attraction efforts with the research and development that's happening at Binghamton University, a premier public Ivy and R1 research institution. And those sectors also are in very good alignment with New York State's economic development priorities. And so we're really focused, and you've heard the word manufacturing a lot. We are very much focused on this being a high value manufacturing location for Broome County and for New York State in the areas of advanced electronics, semiconductor supply chain, life sciences, and agricultural products. So one of the big things we wanted to test among all the environmental impacts that this may have is what is the economic impact that this may have. So we commissioned, as part of our team, MRB group commissioned a full economic impact study on the development of this park. And we looked at it from two ways. We looked at it from a full build out timeline of 20 years, assuming that from start to finish to fully occupy the site, it would take about 20 years to reach full occupancy. But then we also looked at a lifespan of the park over about 40 years. So in the GEIS document, you'll find the full economic impact analysis that looks at it from a build out perspective and then over the lifetime of the park, which just for a slight comparison, the Broome Corporate Park in Conklin is about a little over 40 years in existence. So some of those key figures that we want to elevate, we're not going to elevate everything, but what do job numbers look like, right? We're doing this to create job opportunities for residents in Broome County as stated in our mission. 300 in year one, we anticipate 300 jobs, increasing over time up to that 20-year build out of about 7,000 jobs. Those are full-time equivalents associated with activity inside the park. Corresponding earnings with that in year one, we would expect 24 million in earnings, increasing to 690 million by year 20. And economic output, year one, $80 million in economic output of the companies that are located in the park, increasing up to 2.3 billion by year 20. So again, that is the time frame that we would expect to fully occupy the land at the park. When we jump down to additional jobs, when we broke out specifically construction jobs and jobs in the skilled trades area, we anticipate 1,500 per year through to the 20-year build out term. So those are real earnings, real jobs for our construction and skilled trades individuals. Corresponding earnings with that year one, 114 million and up to 165 in year 20, and economic output 310 million and 448 million by year 20. And then lastly, sales output that we looked at, so sales generation and activity coming out of the park. By year one, 1.4 million in sales activity and a total of 323 million in by year 20 of combined construction and operation. So we're realizing as through this development, real economic growth, real job growth, real wage growth, and real economic output in Broome County that we currently do not have. So we also narrowed that down to look at the location of the parks. We did an analysis on the impact to the towns. As you recall, this land straddles two towns, the town of Union and the town of Maine. So we looked at this projection over 40 years. So over that 40-year lifespan for the park to be fully operational. And I want to note this analysis does reflect conservative assumptions, and we also projected in there the use of pilot programs as companies would move in. So what you'd see on the bottom, the property tax revenue, those numbers are net. So they would include any incentive programs coming in. So the property tax net revenue to Broome County would be $350 million. Maine, and that would include their fire district, would be $9.5 million, and Union, including their fire district, $29 million. And then when you look at school tax revenue, this project area is wholly in the Johnson City School District. That brings in $429 million to the Johnson City School District over the lifespan that we looked at for, which is 40 years. And the net fiscal positive economic impact across all jurisdictions is $800 million. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the study area location, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dirk Schneider, with CJS Architects, our principal architect on this project, to talk a little bit about the model that we looked at for the development. So what you see here is the study area boundary. This area in red is everything inside the red is everything that the IDA, with your support, that we have either purchased or we have current options for purchase on. So we identified this through a county-wide site inventory analysis that we began in 2021 to look at where we could start to aggregate larger parcels, larger scale economic development sites. We tested this site. We started with an option in November, December of 2022 with one owner and about 300 acres. We did a preliminary engineering analysis at that point in time, kind of a go, no go, to see if this was something we wanted to pursue. When that analysis came back and encouraged us that the footprint of this land would work for what we wanted to accomplish, we continued to acquire or seek options for land. So this is current study area boundary that is part of the GEIS plan. And some of the other features, going back to the traditional site selection factors that we looked at proximity to the highway system. We have very close proximity to I-86, I-81, and I-88. So when you think about where a lot of development is happening, due north and for the Micron project, northeast for Albany, Global Foundries, companies like that. But this positions us well to be a potential supply chain location for those companies. And as well, we also identified that this had a lot of great visual buffers or natural buffers that could provide some barrier to the surrounding neighborhood, whether it's Coconut Creek that runs behind the houses on Airport Road, or just a lot of natural tree buffers. Those were also, we were still able to accomplish a lot of economic activity while providing a natural buffer to the landscape around us. And then lastly, we identified this through as a growth area in multiple town and counties comprehensive. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dirk Schneider, because one of the things we knew going into this was we were not getting, if you know Broome County, which you do not get a lot of flat land that is not in a floodplain. So we needed to identify a firm that I think saw the vision of how you could build this park by making sort of the natural setting an asset rather than a liability. And Dirk Schneider's done a fantastic job, and John Compton was in the back with his team of doing just that. So Dirk, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Stacy. So as we started on this project, it was really the site was can be looked at as a challenge, but really looked at as an opportunity, knowing that typical technology parks, the buildings sometimes can get large. Here we really had a chance to not do this, where you clear cut everything and you have a zero parking lot and then you have your box sitting somewhere. they really wanted to make use of our environment that we had and the topography, and really looked at how can we integrate vertical manufacturing to make the need for stacking buildings, and because we didn't have a great area of a flat building footprint, how can we work this into the site that it becomes more visually interesting and also make use of the topography. And so we really had a nice buffer zone that we wanted to make sure that we maintain. We have the opportunity of great mature trees that we did 2 walkthroughs and really wanted to maintain everything. We go to the next slide. So here now you can see this gray area of the entire perimeter. We drew this line first as a buffer zone to the neighbors with the mature trees, knowing that all the adjacent sites also have mature trees there, but we wanted to set everything back first from that location. Our entry point is from Airport Road. These purple areas are kind of amenity spaces. There was another big idea that we wanted to include in here, making sure that the industrial park or technology park is really becoming not just a park for the people working there, but actually a park for the neighboring community, that they can come in using trails that we're planning throughout, and hiking, biking trails. The amenity spaces could be items like a daycare or other services, maybe an urgent care or whatever else we need in here. So really wanted to make this a park for other people to come to, besides people that work there, and truly turn it into an amenity for Broome County and not just an amenity for an employer that is in there to bring people in and send them back home after the clock is over. So I think here really these roads, and we thought about how we can phase it and work our way into it. And here you can see where it's a little bit steeper, where it really is not feasible. We did not choose to build there because it just doesn't make any sense. And we have some manufacturing up in here that Stacey already kind of highlighted. We have some mixed use housing in other areas, so because we really would like to also create the opportunity, knowing that everyone right now has a housing shortage, that here we could really create a walkable park that people, if they wanted to, could live here and walk to their different places of employment in an ideal world. If you want to go to the next. So here we did a very conceptual 3D view. You're looking from the southwest side. Airport Road is over here on the downside of the hill. So it's really showing you some housing opportunities along here and different size buildings with integrated parking garages right under where we're kind of stepping the building up and down, knowing again that we don't have these large areas for surface parking. So where we actually needed to step buildings up along steep slopes, we're kind of tucking parking underneath. And also you're seeing here, we have these green roofs are not just because it's something cool to do that people do right now. We actually need it for water runoff. And there's a green roofing system that is not just growing grasses, but it's actually retaining the rainwater and then dissipates it slowly into the system. So these green roofs are functional and not just for looks. And really, you can see the mature trees that are around here. Here we didn't model this because this really isn't our site, but you can see that there is really a lot of care was given to, okay, what can we retain? What will we need to take down because of construction? And then, but then putting in like new green spaces.
Those are actually,
Yes, yes.
where you see that buffering, those are, that is
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
preserving.
that's
what's
actually,
currently there.
yeah. Thank you. I think this is kind of a overall quick rundown of the site, and we have many other word here. Oh, I forgot this. Thank you. Here's a quick graphic about, we have about 8 miles of sidewalks. So keeping 77% of the site is will remain green. And we have 533 residential units. The building footprint is 15% of the site. We're trying to cover what I explained earlier. We have some parking structures under buildings, or where we will be out on the surface. We'll also put some other infrastructure above it, maybe with PV systems, and then hiking and biking trails throughout the park. And we're thinking of maybe having in one area a trailhead where people could actually park and then start exploring the site.
I want to translate where you see building footprint. That's the equivalent of about 5 million square
Yeah.
feet of space, which also would exclude any vertical additional maybe manufacturing
Yes.
space, which brings down.
Because we have the vertical manufacturing, so the building footprint that is shown of about 5 million. Actually, we're at 7.98 million square feet total, but that accounts for the multi-floors in some areas. So that's why those numbers are similar, but
To give you a sense of scale, the Huron campus, the former IBM campus, the Huron campus is roughly 130 acres and has about 4 million square feet of space. So we're about almost the same acreage, but we're accomplishing actually a little more square footage, a little more total square footage for what could be used for mostly manufacturing, but also some of the other amenities like housing and support services.
then I'll hand it over to Lisa.
So hi, everybody. Nice to see everybody again. Lisa Nagel with EDR. Been the project manager working lockstep with the team, getting this to today. It was fun. Thanks for the opportunity. So at EDR, I'd also like to point out, we have, Stacy pointed out, we have our other team members. Some are here today. We have Mike Hammer from helping on the energy side. On the screen, you see Brian Whitaker. He's from Ramble Engineering, and they sit inside the park engineering. Mary Beth Bianconi from Delaware Engineering did outside the park engineering, water and wastewater in particular. And Helena O'Shea is with me at EDR, and Gordon Stansberry is our traffic engineer. And we have a couple Johns on the team. I'm assuming that's John Hammer with Mike's father on the energy side. But John Beck, let me. What we did is, Stacy mentioned, we got a grant from Empire State Development for a fast track fee money, which was to prepare a generic environmental impact statement. I'm a fan of this process because it allows us to really methodically evaluate these limits to see if something like this can occur without any environmental impacts. And it allows us to be broad in general, right? This isn't as the Chair stated at the beginning, and Stacy has stated, we're not putting a shovel on the ground. There are additional permits and approvals that are going to be required. It's just looking at the environmental review act and looking at that. We are going to set development standards through this with the help of CJS in terms of what this can look like as we move forward. That goes in as a threshold. So in the future, when companies come and develop, if they're within the thresholds that we're going to be setting as a result of this process, seeker is complete, which is a really nice step. So have to get your permits, site plan review, et cetera, with the town, either a town of Union or town of Maine, but seeker can be complete. If you exceed those thresholds, you might have to do a supplemental process. So it was really a nice way for the public, this entity, to be able to bring something like this to what we call more of a build ready. It's not shovel ready, we have other things, but more of a build ready state. Next. This is sort of the continuum that we saw at the beginning of this process. We've been in the middle where the pencil is for quite some time preparing these. You just heard about all of our team members. So there's been a lot of analyses that have been done. There are multiple appendices in the document. Each appendix is a specific analysis: air, noise, visual, wetlands, traffic, engineering, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's any topic area that's interesting you, it's a clickable PDF. You can look at those appendices. Those appendices are then summarized in the document, just so the organization, so you know the organization. We now, if this board is accepted today, we'll go through a public process, which is a prescribed timeline, that, our partners from Harris Beach have been helping us, guide the seeker, timeline and the requirements there. Stacy will have some dates for you at the end to, give you some important dates. So that's where we are. We'll be able to do at the close of public comment, we'll finalize it. We call it FGES. And then that finding statement, that's the thing. That's the document that has these questions, right? So for future development that we have, some compliance with these questions. Again, if you exceed the threshold, you can do some additional. We're really, it's sort of the carrot at the end of the seeker step, if you will. Okay. We're not going to go into all these. Obviously, the link to the document that you had, you can look at it and dive into any topic area of your interest in detail. But we've had our team working collectively, putting this together. Again, there's some appendices for almost each one of these bullets. But again, we just encourage you to go to the document and dive in. What we wanted to do is summarize a few of these for you just today. Just a few topic areas. We're just going to high level again, encourage you to go to the document. The public will have the same opportunity. Stacy will talk about where we're going to have hard copies and digital copies available for the public at this presentation. We already looked with Dirk. We have the primary access off of Airport Road. We're looking at sort of a secondary community access off East Main Road, perhaps a trailhead for the trails that Dirk is talking about. In the analysis that Gordon Stansberry, GTS Consulting did for us, we determined there's existing capacity in all the roads around there to have the square footage that we were just talking about. What's really interesting is that under 60% of the park, until that 60% of the park is built, the only thing that needs to be done on Airport Road is an extra turning lane about 500 feet to turn into the park. And then another turning lane inside the park to take away from Airport Road until 60% of the park is built. When 60% of the park is built, there are other mitigation traffic items that is listed in that are listed in the report. Visually, we already talked about this. It was intended to be a buffers. We're preserving trees. We're building into the landscape. We're doing green roofs. We're doing all these things. So really, we looked at a 2-mile radius. 92% of the park will not be visible within a 2-mile radius. A small portion, 8%, might be visible at some locations. It sounds like that, but might be visible at some locations. That's by design. EDR has a great visualization team that was able to take the model, the conceptual plan that CJS provided, and we're actually able to model it in real time. And doing that. Water and wastewater. This is primarily referring to offsite. We would, of course, water and wastewater within the park. Mary Beth Coney and her team did an excellent job. This is probably one of the most straightforward items. Mary Beth will tell you we're just pipes and pavement. We obviously need money to construct this, but we're not putting any potable water or wastewater on site. Mary Beth and her team found an offsite location for potable water for a well field. And then also we would be coordinating with the Binghamton Johnson City wastewater treatment plant for a new sewer line. There's existing capacity at that plant, but we would need a new sewer line with all the complexities that surround that sewage treatment plant with the sewer sheds that I'm sure you're familiar with. Both water and wastewater would be dedicated to this park. So others would not be able to connect into it. It would be dedicated to the park. But we would coordinate, and we already are coordinating with Village of Johnson City, for example, on identifying the water and wastewater. We have a cultural historical team at EDR. Again, we took the footprint that was identified. Our team coordinated with the New York State Office of Historic Preservation, and we determined that there are no effects on any adjacent cultural resources. Community services, we did look at, and Stacy already did this with the quick summary reminder. We did look at the demand on local police, fire, EMS. There will be, of course. We talked to some fire companies and police, et cetera. And as Stacy stated, even with some abatements that might be provided by this board, we have a net positive $800 million dollars to cover any impacts. One of the things that we're looking into is a community benefit agreement. So in addition to this GEIS, in addition to the jobs, in addition to the net fiscal impact, we want to look at other things these communities might want. There's additional recreational opportunities and additional infrastructure. We want to work with communities and say, how can we help you with these proceeds from this park for community benefit here in Broome County? Stormwater, we looked at that. Dirk did mention the green roofs. That is a part of our stormwater calculations. Bramble Engineering helped inside the park. Said Chairman, we looked at what we call green infrastructure practices. So forest pavement, bioswale, rain gardens, things of this nature. So we're looking to do that, which is really part of the vision of the park, this mission. We do have wetlands. We did look at those wetlands. We're looking with this design to avoid or minimize impacts to the greatest extent practical. This is one of the key permits that will have to be obtained when we start moving forward with DEC. We saw the stat already. 77% of the site would be reserved as open space, and that's primarily with Dirk's team. We're looking to work with the topography. We're looking to build the buildings into the hillside, really preserving that buffer and those trees as much as we can, and re-putting in trees when construction happens. And then we also did an assessment of threatened endangered species, and we didn't find any of those species. With energy, we've been working both for the park and then parallel with the New York. So with the Hammers, John and Mike Hammers' help, and also John Beck from EN Trust, we looked at the 115 line that comes through already the site, and that could provide about 5 megawatts of electricity. Well, that's not enough for our needs for this advanced manufacturing concept that we're looking at. But nearby is the 345 kV line, where we looked at some engineering and connecting to that. If we can connect to that and bring that into a substation on our site, we can provide 250 megawatts of electricity, which is great. That's fantastic for our needs. But we also looked, again, in the vein of this idea of the energy efficient systems. We actually were talking with a company called Brightcore, which actually is Mike Richter's company, Creatures. Stacy and I met him at a conference last year, and we're looking at things like geothermal or solar, I think other types of renewable energies that we might be able to integrate into the park. And then, NICEAG's been a great partner, and of course, we're with the NICEAG right now in terms of looking at the feasibility into that 345. Economic impact, again, Stacy mentioned this, but just as a quick summary, 7,000 operational jobs year 20, with almost 700 million in earnings and a little over 2 billion in economic activity. And then again, we're looking at a positive net impact. So all these details, again, there's a series of appendices. We provided the board also with some of these talking points. So this information will be summarized in the generic environmental impact statement. That's sort of the executive summary. There is an executive summary, but and then you have the in the 1,000 pages of the GEIS, most of that is appendices. So don't be overwhelmed by the page.
So I just wanted to kind of quickly summarize some of the next important steps, because as we talked about, this is a very specific process. But just to quickly summarize the long-term benefits of this, and taking the natural landscape, which could be considered very challenging. I think we've come up with a design that turns that into an asset, and also preserves the natural aesthetic for the towns, which is one thing that came through loud and clear. That was a desire to not drastically alter the natural character of that area. I think we accomplished that with this as well. And I also think that this is not what most people expect when they think of this. And I think that's actually going to be a differentiator for us as a competitive site in New York State. And so of course, the local long-term benefits is what we're focused on. And that's the increase in the income and the tax-based growth. those numbers are just about activity within the park. This doesn't, in the document, you'll see in the appendix, it doesn't include the economic multiplier of businesses outgrowth more just from those that want to support the activity in the park. Helping to reverse out-migration, again, by providing a location, not just now, but for multiple decades, to create investment and job opportunities and the diversity of job opportunities, to support the growth in our local schools and retention of graduates by bringing and retaining people here, as it was described, potential diverse housing choices, and we need housing, which also increases the property tax base for both of those towns. This, again, the economic multiplier and the support for small businesses that will come as a result of this. And we've also added the number of sustainable practices, again, making this us a differentiator, I think, in economic development, site construction, and as well as activities that invite the community in as well. So the most important steps start now. Once the board were to accept this today, it will become live. It will become the public phase of this effort. There are some very specific things that we plan to do. We will locate the document at on our website, both broometechpark.com, which is a dedicated website to our progress on the development of the Broome Tech Park, and as well as the agency website. We also will provide hard copies for public viewing. Those will be located at your home public library in the village of Johnson City, as well as the George F. Johnson Memorial Library in Endicott. We've also, which will go live today, we also recorded an informational video, just to kind of a shorter version of this, but also tells the public how to access the document, how to submit comments, and how to provide input, because that is the most important thing at this phase, is the community's input on our concept, on our vision for Broome Tech Park. You can provide written comments to the agency, to our mailing address. We'll also make sure that people can provide comment electronically at techparkagency.com. We plan to begin the public comment period upon publication of the document, and then it will close on April 26th. So it is slightly above the minimum required 30-day public comment period. We're also planning, as a required next step, a public hearing. We're looking at April 16th, starting at 6 p.m. We're going through the process of just getting the approval from Johnson City High School. They've been a terrific partner. We're planning to host it at Johnson City High School auditorium. If that location changes, we'll make sure that it's publicly noticed, as will this public hearing. But beyond that, we want to go above and beyond that. So we also plan a series of digital ads to inform the community of how they can access the document and how they can provide public comments. We're also planning a number of key stakeholder presentations and meetings and workshops, open houses. Again, really, I think a lot of the work begins. But with that, I just want to again thank this incredibly diverse, multidisciplinary team that has helped build this vision thus far. And thank you all, those that are here today and those that are online. Thank you again to the board for allowing us to pursue this, I think, very important endeavor. And with that, turn it over to you, Jim.
Thanks. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, team. Report. Everybody's questions, comments, observations. Our next order of business is the motion itself. I'll reread it. Resolution accepting the draft generic environmental impact statement as complete and adequate for public review and scheduling public hearing pursuant to C. So we're going to accept that document, big document that everybody's seen, and Jason will have at it with public.
And I want to note, we expect the documents to be on our website roughly around 2 p.m. today. So bear with us, assuming no technical difficulties. We have tested it. It's a very large file. We have tested it multiple times, but that's roughly about the time. I see some of our media partners here. That is roughly around the time we expect that to go live. So just I wanted to note that as well. And
I'll just comment. I think the process has been great. It's a huge document, but it's relatively easy to go through, with the PDF and the outline. So I think you've done a wonderful job. I like the summary, you know, right? 6 or 7 page summary for an 800+ page document, but it's readable, and I think you're very well done.
Agree. Is this the same presentation that will be used out in the community?
And this one here, yeah. We did
the recording too. We did the information.
We did an informational recording that'll be on the Broome Tech Park website. It was slightly abridged. It's a little kind of getting to more how the community can access the document.
Anyone else? There's a lot of work, right? Anybody else? Motion. I have a Dan, a second. Wayne, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? Stacy, you're gonna be busy.
Fun's just getting started.
That was
Thank you all.
That was the final line on our agenda. Can I have a motion for adjournment? Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Let's wrap it up at 1:50.